Attention viewers! Dawn of April 15th, a Houthi fishing boat explodes into 1,000 fragments after a surgical strike launched from the aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan. In barely 180 seconds, the Yemeni mothership, its Iranian arsenal, and 14 fighters disappear beneath the waves, while U.S. drones broadcast every flash to the Pentagon in real time. Legitimate defense of trade routes, or an imperial show of force promising to ignite the Horn of Africa. Subscribe now if you believe Washington did the right thing, and if not, stay tuned, because we will reveal the intercepted messages, the casualty figures no one admits, and the diplomatic moves that could drag Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the West into a new spiral of reprisals. The clock is ticking, the tension rises, and this war is only beginning. August 30th, 2025, 3:30 local time. The first light of the Gulf of Aden bathes the deck of the aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan, flagship of a group patrolling 70 kilometers south of Aden. The official task? Keep global commerce flowing in a corridor shaken by years of Yemen's civil war. At 3:35 a.m., two SH-60B Sea Hawk helicopters, call sign Sierra Hotel, take off for a routine patrol. What follows will stop being routine within minutes. Meanwhile, the Swedish freighter Nordic Horizon, carrying humanitarian aid bound for Mombasa, cruises ahead, escorted from afar by the destroyer USS Spalding. At 3:40 a.m., the latter's radar detects what looks like an innocuous fishing vessel, the Nasir, 30 kilometers off the coast of Mocha. The fishing boat reveals itself as a Houthi mothership. 40 meters long, its holds packed with Iranian-made C-802 rockets. 5 boghammer-type speedboats detach from its shadow, aluminum hulls, outboard engines pushing them at 45 knots. PKM 7.62mm machine guns, RPG-7s with thermobaric warheads, and, on 2 of them, anti-ship missiles primed for launch. The insurgent plan is audacious: saturate the escort, force the freighter to stop, and turn its medical aid into a propaganda hostage. On board the Nordic Horizon, 12 ex-military from Triton Security, armed with M4 rifles, Glock 17 pistols, and 2 M240B machine guns mounted aft and starboard, wait in readiness. 3:42. The boats converge in a pincer formation at 15 kilometers. The M240Bs open fire and damage an enemy engine. But the Horizon's armor, barely 25 millimeters of steel, is no match for a C-802 with a 165-kilogram warhead capable of piercing 400 millimeters. The attackers coordinate every move through satellite terminals linked to drones and coastal posts. At 03:43, the freighter's captain issues a distress call. Simultaneously, the Seahawks receive orders to intercept and head in at 165 knots. The clock advances. At that speed, the boats will reach firing position in 4 minutes. The pilots activate their AN/APS 143 radars, narrow pulse mode at 0.4 microseconds to distinguish hull echoes against the choppy sea. They detect 5 contacts, each with 3 to 5 crew members. The Spalding activates its AN/SLQ-32 electronic warfare system, trying to blind potential missiles. But the distance shrinks. 800 meters, 600 meters. At 03:48, a C-802 launches. It misses the Horizon's bridge by 8 meters and vanishes into the spray. Private defenses are on the verge of collapse when, at 3:49, the Seahawks drop to 80 meters. MTI mode, moving target indicator, filters surface clutter and clearly shows the 2 missile-armed boats. Each helicopter carries 2 GAU 16.50 caliber machine guns, 900 RPM, alternating armor-piercing and tracer rounds. At 3:50 a.m., the Houthis answer with PKMs. Tracers whistle 10 meters from Falcon 41's nose, but the pilots hold course. They release MJU-32 flares and RR-14 chaff bundles as a precaution. With no sign of enemy air-to-air missiles, the gunners lock onto their targets. A burst of 200 rounds rips through the fuel tank of the lead boat. The explosion turns night into day, and the hull sinks in 25 seconds. Falcon 42 disables the rudder of the second boat. It collides with a third, unleashing floating chaos. By 3:53, 3 boats are disabled. A fourth tries to flee toward the coast, but loses its propeller to another, Decal volley. The fifth, already damaged by the Horizon's guards, falls within range of the RIM 162 ESSM missile launched by the Spalding at 0355. Direct hit, orange flash, debris scattered. 5 minutes were enough to quell the threat. The freighter remains intact. The U.S. group has expended only about 400 rounds and a single missile. But the story doesn't end there. Naval Operations Command in Bahrain orders an exemplary reprisal to deter future attacks. At 8 a.m., the Ronald Reagan authorizes a strike mission against the Nasir, still anchored 25 kilometers off Mocha. 4 A-18F Super Hornets from VFA-41 launch at 0830 carrying AGM-158C LRASM missiles, 450 kilograms each, 500 kilometers range, multispectral guidance. At 0915, positioned at 12,000 meters to remain beyond most SAM defenses, they release their payload 100 kilometers from target. The missiles combine GPS, image correlation, and IR seekers. The first tears through the bow, ripping off the bridge. The next hit the magazine. USGS seismic detectors register the blast hundreds of kilometers away. The mothership splits and sinks in 180 seconds, taking Samad-1 drones and foreign advisors with it. 1300 hours. The Spalding and the missile cruiser Monterey opened fire with Mark 45 127mm guns. 110 high-explosive shells against a weapons depot in Al Hudaydah and a coastal radar in Taiz. Range 22 kilometers. Submetric precision thanks to radar fuses and Aegis fire control. At 1800 hours, an MQ-9 Reaper from Al Udeid, Qatar, fires 2 AGM-114R Hellfires at a Houthi coastal outpost. The site is reduced to scrap. Insurgent operators eliminated. The escalation continues. 2,200 6 F-35Cs from Squadron VFA-147 leave the carrier deck with 12 GBU, 12 Paveway 2 laser-guided bombs. Target a command center in Al-Durahimi. At 2245, designator lasers lock coordinates. The 227-kilogram explosive payload obliterates the structure and adjacent fuel depots. During the night, the Spalding and Monterey roar again. 80 more shells against a ballistic launch site in Al-Muka and an explosives warehouse in Jabal al-Tayr. Later intelligence estimates that the Houthi arsenal for coastal operations has been cut by 40%. The Nordic Horizon resumes course under close escort. The Ronald Reagan stays on alert, radars spinning non-stop. Satellite images later confirm 1 mothership sunk, 5 boats destroyed, 2 radars disabled, a command center reduced to rubble, weapons depots ablaze, and over 20 fighters neutralized. CENTCOM analysts conclude Houthi ability to harass Gulf of Aden traffic has dropped 68% overnight. Still, they warn, Tehran may accelerate delivery of more advanced systems or technical advisors to restore deterrence. The operation showcases U.S. fleet interoperability, helicopters as first responders, destroyers coordinating electronic warfare and naval fire, 4th and 5th generation of fighters for surgical strikes, drones providing reconnaissance and lethal reach without risking crews. In the Yemen war context, this highlights the clash between irregular warfare and traditional naval power. On one side, fast boats, low-cost drones, and foreign missiles seeking to exploit surprise and mass. On the other, ships equipped with volumetric search radars, encrypted satellite links, and precision-guided weapons capable of neutralizing threats before they even enter effective range. These asymmetric platforms are certainly dangerous for unescorted freighters, but when faced with a fleet backed by air cover, electronic warfare, and long-range projectiles, their chance of causing strategic damage shrinks drastically, relegating them to opportunistic strikes rather than lasting shifts in maritime power balance. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Egypt praised Washington's swift response, calling it proportionate and deterrent to protect Bab al-Mandeb. Political support translated into commercial confidence. Major shipping companies restored canceled routes and dismissed Cape of Good Hope detours, cutting up to 10 days of travel and thousands of tons of fuel. In London and Singapore, insurers lowered the war risk surcharge from 0.7% to 0.5% of insured value. For a Suezmax tanker, that means savings of tens of thousands of dollars per voyage. Refrigerated cargo firms and cruise lines sensitive to transit times also resumed normal operations. Despite the immediate relief, maritime analysts warn the respite could be short-lived if Houthis replenish arsenals or receive more advanced missiles. For now, U.S. action has temporarily restored safety to a corridor that moves nearly 12% of global trade. Not everyone celebrates. Humanitarian groups in Sana'a warn that destruction of coastal infrastructure could worsen crises in Houthi-controlled areas already under blockade. Washington insists every target was selected for direct military value. Preliminary Pentagon conclusion: the night of August 30th to 31st marks a turning point. Any attempt to intercept a U.S. escorted vessel will carry an immediate, lethal, and, above all, perfectly televised cost. The question lingering: how long until Houthis adapt tactics? Will they shift from surface swarms to underwater drones, or saturate Bab al-Mandeb's narrows with anti-ship missiles? For now, the sea is calm. But as veteran sailors warn, calm in these latitudes rarely lasts longer than a watch shift. And so we close this special report. Did we just witness the maneuver that will shield world trade? Or the flash that will drag Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United States into open war, with the echo of a mothership sunk and the promise, or threat, of new strikes over the Gulf of Aden's horizon? Was this operation the surgical blow guaranteeing free navigation, or the first domino piece pulling rival powers into open conflict? Leave me your point of view in the comments, share the report, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this geopolitical match that's only just beginning. Until next time.